Why is the automobile then prioritizing pedestrian safety as part of its advocacy this year?
Eleanor, we understand that this national road fatality crisis is not limited to motorists and vehicles. In fact, it often forgets the vulnerable, who are pedestrians and cyclists. To your comment on stats, if I look at the stats that I have available in front of me, over 40% of road fatalities are assigned to pedestrians. Of greater concern is that a significant number are children. The reality is that our roads are not designed for pedestrians and cyclists alike. Safe sidewalks are rare, signage is pretty poor, to be fair, and speed calming measures are just too far and few for the management of traffic in this country. So for us at the AA, this is not just a campaign. I think it's a moral obligation for us. And we want to challenge the notion that walking on roads or near roads in South Africa is dangerous. Everyone, as rightfully put earlier on, everyone has a right to mobility. So everyone should have the right to getting around safely. But in keeping with the theme, more so, children have the right to get to school safely.
Will that be the reason why then the Automobile Association decided to partner up with Child Safe as well as the FIN Foundation for the Walking Safely to School project? And can you tell us more about it?
Correct. So we partnered with the various organizations in keeping with our broadened mandate. As I said earlier on, historically, we had a very narrow view. We served motorists and their vehicles. Today, in appreciation that we touch users of all modalities of mobility, we broaden the focus. The Walking Safely to School initiative, it was premised by a simple question. What is it going to take to get children to get to school safely in South Africa? So we developed a program that sort of sits on 3 pillars. Pillar 1 is awareness, assessment, and then obviously the most important being action. Awareness came from sharing real stories on the ground, much like the video you saw earlier on. There are startling realities that need to be addressed. The assessment was through people taking photos with geolocations, people sharing their routes and how they get to school, and giving us inputs from their communities about the dangerous hotspots. Action, as I said, being the most important part, was our opportunity to facilitate and coordinate collaboration between the private sector, the state, and the various schools. This resulted in us introducing the necessary speed calming measures like speed bumps, in addition to improving signage, in addition to involving communities and ushering children safely in and around the school areas. There is an opportunity here for the private sector to participate as well. Again, looking at my data, we're of the view that companies can get involved in supporting and investing in the necessary infrastructure to improve the conditions in which children walk around schools. There's also an opportunity for them, and this is low-hanging fruit for corporates, is that they could just add this to their existing CSI initiatives. It's not that difficult in that regard. Whilst we're not advocating for plainly making donations, there are opportunities for donations to occur. And one that comes to mind is the donation of reflective gear for scholar patrols, or reflective gear for teachers who are responsible for ensuring the high visibility in and around the schools. So thematically, at the end of the day, with regards to this project, we're advocating for safer roads, and we argue that it's a benefit for everyone. Businesses employ parents and caregivers. I think caregivers and parents would feel calmer and would be more involved in business that appreciates that their children are also being taken care of by the same business indirectly through initiatives like walking safely to school.
And you've spoken about the private sector partnering with the Automobile Associations, civil society, with regards to making this project a success. But what message would you have then for decision makers like your government institutions about the urgency of safer walking routes for school children?
I don't know. Through this kind of project, I want to build a national coalition. But my message to decision makers and policy makers is quite simple. And I jotted down a few thoughts earlier on that I'm going to tie into this. This initiative is not optional. If we want to lose our elderly and our children at the same time, we carry on in the vein that we're on right now. So there's an element of urgency. Today, we have children walking through hazards like construction zones, playing dodgeball in traffic. The mere fact that a child has to cross a busy road with high traffic in itself is of great concern to myself as an individual and to the AA at large. It's just plainly and simply unacceptable. So this is the point where we draw a line. So my plea to my stakeholders, particularly government as well, is let's start putting safer school zones at the heart of our integrated plans. We've got these brilliant plans, but often we fall short in recognizing how best to accommodate school children and also the environment around them. In allocating budgets, take into consideration the infrastructure. But in the theme of action, spend the money. Use it on what you're intending to use it. Involve your communities. They know exactly what's going on the ground. It's all good and well you scatter or you litter roads with speed bumps, but if they're not placed in the right places, and you'd know where right and wrong is through consultation with communities, if they're not put in the right places, it's an effort that's a bit of a waste. And then in managing those who use the roads, so you've built the infrastructure, you've got the plans, now you need to manage behaviors. And in managing behaviors, we need to enforce laws. So my message to my colleagues in law enforcement is put your foot down, enforce the laws. Now is the time to act.